is a addendum to my dream vlog. These are going to be just some little clips from my whisper, and this is like part of how I was feeling yesterday, and I'll tell you how I got there. So I was watching YouTube, and on YouTube they had this thing where there was a zoo. There was a huge elephant, little gazelles and stuff running around. And at some point you hear a woman off camera. She's Latin. She has like what sounds similar to me, like a Venezuelan accent, because it's really sing-songy or something. It wasn't regular, it was one of those Latin countries where they, so she says, "Oh, pobrecita," and it was so sweet. And I didn't say it like she said it. If you heard her say it, it's like heaven. Like, it's a group of Hispanic people, like the Venezuelans. This really sing-songy, and it just, the way that they talk just soothes your soul. I mean, it's beautiful. But she was just saying, "Oh, and I hate to say it, and they talk about the way Americans talk too. They'll be like, Hispanics say "hola," and Americans be like "hola." We're very dead and monotone, and it's true, because the way she was just like, "Ay, pobrecita," it was so beautiful. But if you ever go to Sunny Isles Beach in Florida, you'll find a lot of people that talk like that. It's so, so, so beautiful. Speaking of which, I'm going to be diverting topics just as whenever they come to mind. But I remember lots of memories, but a lot of them are sad, but I won't go into, I'll try to save the core memories. But I remember there was a couple that came to a place that I was working temporarily, and they had their IDs need to be checked. And when their IDs were checked, at that time I was like 35. This is like just when the legal thing happened. Like I was a couple years into the legal thing. And man, that was a rough time for me. I'm remembering a lot now, but everything was kind of rough, but I made it through. I'm happy. And it's still rough. It's very rough. I'm going through like the disaster after the destruction. But it'll be okay. It'll all be fine. But so a couple came in, and they were dressed really business-like, very expensive clothes, and I didn't even realize they were expensive to just now, because I never looked at it like that. But the whole demeanor was different. I didn't think anything about it. There was the young man that I worked with. He was only like 20, and lots of stories about him. But like I said, I'm not going to digress too much, because I digress enough on my own. But the couple, he went to check their ID, and he, tapped me on the shoulder to show it to me. And I was, and I didn't make no big deal out of it. But when I looked at it, my heart, I was just like, wow, because we were the same age, right? But there was a big difference. Here I am working at this broken down place, not really a broken down place, but as far as, what my goals and where I should be in life, broken down, okay? And, I was in really good shape back then, like really good shape. I had abs and everything, but really brightly dressed and whatever. And I remember somebody commented previously before this, and this is a long time ago, so I don't remember everything. But they were just like, you're very bright. And they meant the way that I looked. I had a lot of bright colors on. And they were like, but that's good though. That's good. That's good. It makes people happy. And it's so funny how me going in the midst of all that, I still made people happy. I remember people was like, "Oh, you're like a poodle." Some people would have thought it was racist. I didn't. I was just really cute, and I had little puffs in my hair. But when he showed me, and this guy was Haitian, a young Haitian, and he had some finding to do. I don't want to go into the stories right now, but he showed me the licenses. But he was very intelligent, though. I wonder how he feels. He said some comments that was racist against black people or people of color like himself. And I wonder how he felt when he saw folks being whipped his Haitian people being whipped across the border. He didn't care, but, just like a lot of people, I don't want to get into it, but it just really disappointed me. He would mock hanging himself and stuff like that. But anyhow, he didn't know any better, And I remember I was just so shocked. I was speechless, But, so many things. And, me being a person of African American descent, but of also Asian American descent, and growing up in a mixed household where, my mom was the primary after only like 10 or 12 years, I would never, I can understand that culturally people that are mixed and people that are from different different countries of the African diaspora, even though black people hate it when mixed people or people from, they just say black is black. It's not. It's different. It's culturally different. But for him to make light of, I would never, never, ever, come on now. But anyhow, I mean, because it's just human, But it really disturbed me. And there was a mixed guy that did the same thing. I mean, I would never do that. He was just like, he was downing black people. I was like, what in the world? And maybe that's why some black people don't like it when people say, make a difference between being mixed and being from the Caribbeans. Because maybe there are some people that are sick like that, that it's not just acknowledging the cultural difference, but they go into actually being part of racism against, African American people. It's really weird. But anyways, back to this couple. So, they were exactly my age, with a little child, like 3 or 4. And they were very polished and dignified. This system and everything I've been through, I'm the complete opposite now. But it was a huge difference. Where I was fun and scattered and all over the place, they were very together and reserved. And looking back, their clothes were very expensive. The jacket that man wore alone probably cost a few $1,000s, probably $5,000, $10,000. Everything that I had on probably cost a total of $10, maybe $15. There was nothing expensive about me. There was nothing that costed anything about me. And to tell the truth, it may not have even been that much. The shorts were probably like $5. Shirt, probably like $2. Whatever throw I had on, probably $1 or free. And the shoes were probably $5, This man's jacket probably cost a few thousand, like literally $5,000, You guys, that's the first time I noticed, there's a big difference, I've fallen behind. And does it mean that I'm less of a person? No. But it does mean that I'm not where I'm supposed, and I have to take away the word supposed to be, because the universe unfolds like it should. But I'm not where I would ever have imagined, never have imagined myself to be, where I am. And it feels like I'm at the very bottom and there's concrete poured all over the bottom like a trap. I'm at the bottom and I have a little Ferris wheel running, and it's going just like that dream where I told y'all that I was running from the gargoyle, running from the library, and my mom could take my sister and brother, but she had to leave me behind. That happened in real life. My mom disowned me and she kept it moving. She always says the family is like a hand. If you hurt one, you mess up the whole hand. So she had to cut me off and let me go, But and there's so many different dynamics and reasons for that. And I love my mom dearly. I love her. I appreciate everything that she went through just to have us, to bring us here. And all her losses, just as a human being, having left her country, the hope that she must have had. And I know she had hope because I still remember distinctly in my mind, the way she sounded when she was like, "Hi, Moria, we're going to the USA." And she tried to make it happy for me, but her family probably disowned her and called me all kinds of things. I remember, and notice how I say her family now, I remember, and I used to really think that was my family. I remember how much hope I had when I came to the U.S. Oh, the U.S. is such a great place. They have welfare and all this, so you'll never go back. And I'm going to grow up to be such a great, great person because there's no way that I can fail. But let me tell you something about failure. Failure is just a part of a phase of success. You'll get there eventually, and if eventually never happens in this lifetime, and if it's not successful in the eyes of other people, you made it. You're here. My name is Maria Chung Willoughby. I am 47 years old, or going to be in December. Almost 50 years old. I have another year or two to make it to the same age my dad was before he passed. He passed from military, just drinking and supposedly everything that came with it, but I'm sure there were other things that happened that are not in the death certificate, but I'm here. People haven't made it here, and regardless of how well received or not well received I am by other people, it doesn't matter, because when I say it doesn't matter, I mean that, because I don't want to say that wholly, because everything does matter, but I mean that in the sense that, my value and who I am, who I'm esteemed to be just in my presence and my existence, is not denigrated at all by that. And I say that because, even though looking, if you tally things up from the outside, like people, you say I always looked good on paper, legitimately good on paper. But these days, my spirit and energy, you can tell I've been through a lot. You can tell that I've been a victim of the criminal justice system. You can tell that I've been affected by everything that happened in regards to that. Your introduction into the real world and what it really is, and how much of a lie. And these days, and this is part of where I feel so stuck, but I'm still going to make it. But these days, everything feels like a lie. You realize you've been gaslit about everything. They used to call people, and I never talked about none of this stuff because it wasn't part of my world. They talked about aliens and all this, and child abuse and sexual abuse, but it's true. All of that stuff really happens, and it happens more than we know. I just came across an article. We'll go through my whispers, because my whispers will show a lot of the stuff, but we'll go through some of them. So this is where it starts about the ostracism. Basically, I was watching way back, rewinding way back now, back to the matter at hand that initiated all TikTok. There was a zoo, there was a huge elephant, and a bunch of little gazelles and wildlife running around. You can see the elephant, first you wouldn't really notice it. It looked like what looked just like branches coming up out of the water, and the elephant was doing something, and then the elephant started, making this noise. I don't know what you call it when the elephant makes this noise, but that's a good question, though. Like, we know this, we have a word for sounds that the dog make or cat make, but what's the sound does the elephant make? There's a word for that, the written word for sounds that animals make. But what does the sound? But it started doing that. And the Venezuelan lady was like, oh, pobrecito, pobrecito, I'm sorry, pobrecito. And ended up, the elephant made so much noise that he was trying to grab the antlers, but his trunk thing wasn't long enough to actually wrap around. It couldn't even close on both ends. So finally the zookeeper came, saw what was going on. He dived in the water and got the gazelle out, or whatever the animal was that had antlers. And the lady was like, bravo, bravo. It was so beautiful, just her input. And I'm going to tell you, Latin people from different countries, I remember her type of Latin people being on her type, wherever she was from. Like I said, it sounded very Venezuelan to me, beautiful. I could, she wasn't on camera, but I could hear, it was beautiful. The inflection of the voice, the sing-song tone, the actual care and concern and empathy. That's what it is. Americans don't have that. Have no tone inflection, no empathy in general. The empathy she had for this animal was going through, the happiness, the genuine happiness, childlike happiness that, this was resolved and it was fixed. Beautiful. Beautiful. I want to be in a place where people care like that, And I had childlike innocence, but it's gone. I mean, it's like, and God bless all the children and things that have been through things out there, because Lord knows I had a good upbringing, for me, even though looking back on it, my mom, basically she trusted the system to do what it had to do, school system, come back, and just general small guidance along the way, because different culture, she wanted us to fit in. She didn't want to impress us with the culture too much. Of course we had no choice with the foods and stuff, but yeah, Korean foods that she made, but she missed a lot of the food, because a lot of, I love my mom a whole lot. I miss her so much, so much. But I know that, and this made me cry too, but we'll get to it. I'm starting to cry again, but we'll get back around to it, Anyways, so when I heard the Pobrecita, just like I recounted, the experience of being on Sunny Isles Beach and some of the people that I heard, and there's people that I owe. I think his name was Mark. Mark, if I ever have money, I owe you. Maybe technically hundreds of dollars, but if I ever, and these are debts that I'll never be able to pay in this lifetime, because it doesn't look like I'm ever going to be in a position, where I could be of something. And I hope he's, I feel about him the way that I feel about my dad. Like my dad, I remember, those years 15, 16, I was just like, one day when I get older and I get everything together, I'm going to find my daddy and, I'm going to let him know how much we cared about him and blah, 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 to be like a big reunion. Because he was ostracized from the family just like I was. Not nice things were said, because those not nice things were said, we jumped on the bandwagon, and, knowing the nature of men and who men are, my mom always said my dad never cheated or nothing like that, just the alcohol thing. But, I'm sure that, everything is as perfect as I thought it was. But still, they say the firstborn daughter, is a spitting image of daddy. And I am, and the stuff that I go through, I don't know what his living situation was in the final days. But what was so ironic was that after my mom put me out, I had when I went to college, I came back and I said, okay, I'm going to get myself together and then I'm going to go do something, and I was working a couple of jobs and, I ended up renting a room in a house in Newport News. I lived in a hotel for a bit too. And ironically, my dad actually rented from the same person. It was so scary. So the same path. I don't drink or anything like that, but the same experiences that he had in life, where it seemed like everything just kind of went against him. I remember my mom left him for a week or two, and I don't know, somebody bought her, it was rumored that she went on a date with somebody, and somebody bought her a plane ticket back to Korea, and her ass, she went back, but, rude awakening when she got back. Oh, you left to go with this black man? You left the country? Go back there, you're dirty, we don't want you no more. Pretty much is what I'm thinking it is. Or something else entirely happened, I don't know. I don't know the whole story, But that was it. And I remember my dad, he didn't have anybody to confide with. Both my mom and dad didn't have anybody. You know what I'm saying? And my dad, I remember him taking us to McDonald's somewhere. He ordered, and, he didn't know how to do our hair. Our hair was all messy. And I remember the folks in the projects, because I think my mom, what her plan was that she was just like, okay, they couldn't get, welfare or whatever, because there's two people in the household. She was like, she was going to be the one to leave. She going back to Korea. You can keep the kids, And, but that didn't work. Those people didn't accept her back. Did not accept her back. And it's so funny how I'm so detached when I used to refer to these people as my family, But even now, I guess because I'm so detached, far, how they say when you're dealing with family twice removed, and it's supposed to be a real lineage about that, but I feel like the actual words being removed is me, twice removed, 4 times, 5 times removed from my grandparents and great aunts and uncles from my mama's side, removed from my aunts and uncles and stuff from my daddy's side, removed from my actual parents by death, by them determining, hey, you can't be a part of this family anymore. And I didn't know this, FBI, whoever, I'm going to tell you, when I went through that legal situation, it's so much, you guys. When I went through that legal situation, I remember going for an interview, and the girl, she knew what was going on. This is before I knew the whole, and she was just like, good luck. And it was weird. It was like these people looked really weird. I have a lot of stories when I went through the legal thing. Some of them, just now I'm starting to feel like and it's one key event that I've never ever repeated or talked to with anyone directly. But this one key event, I'm almost at the point, because now the world is crazy. It's like we see stuff shit. But these people, they were saying, oh, the black sheep of the family. I was like, what does that have to do with my interview? It was crazy, but I had FBI, all kinds of crazy stuff, stuff that you wouldn't even think was related to the shit, But when you see and hear other people's stories, you wonder, because again, it's been, I don't know how many years, but I still haven't told the whole story. It's just one piece that's missing, one piece. And the only reason I don't mention it is because it's kind of creepy, But anyhow, I can't vlog all day, so I'm going to, well, maybe I can. If somebody actually watches it, maybe to give me some watch time. but I'm not going to, because I'm not. But anyhow, so that zoo clip and the lady saying Pobrecita, it reminded me of Miami, and so it made me post my Miami experience. And I was like, how my name went from Linda to Negrita Chinua to Pobrecita y el Vagabundo. So basically, and I have stories about all these different things, but I'll leave it at that. But basically, from cute to black Chinese, but, I corrected them. I was like, I'm not. And then, like poor little woman or whatever. The Pobrecita came from, when I was going through the legal thing, various jobs, because I had to work. And this one, and I was gaslit so many times because people could start to see the hurt and the pain and the effect of what this legal thing was doing to me. And nobody wants that energy around. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you are someone that's sad, that's going through a lot of hurt and pain and struggle, and you're the kind of person that wears your heart on your sleeves and everybody can see when something's not good or something's not right, do not be sad when you're ostracized. Do not be sad if you're disowned by your family. Do not be sad if people in the community see you and it's just like, what's wrong? Because the thing is that we have energy. And I think I spoke to this about this before, that our heart actually puts out a magnetic field, electronic field, an energy field, okay? And it can spread as far as 15 feet. People are, even though, trust your instinct, just like you trust yours, other people need to trust theirs. Something is not right with you because you're sad. You're sad, you're deeply sad. They can feel it, and eventually it starts to rub off on them. So don't be upset or feel a certain way. You have to be together first. Make yourself happy. Whatever it is that you have to do to get rid of that negativity, you do that. And the first step is realizing the impact that how you feel can affect other people, even though you're not doing anything just directly wrong. But your sadness, you're in stress and missing healing is what's causing that. But yeah, so I remember that, and this is very poignant to me because it's a transition from being regular to just going the whole opposite way, At one point, I almost felt part of the community. I felt a lot of love from those people, whether it be Haitian people, whether it be Hispanic people. But then it got to the point where, I was just ostracized altogether. And not by those communities, but, God said it was time for me to move. So I did. All right. And then I didn't post a whole lot, just how's everybody doing? And then sharing my Afro-Korean American experience. Growing up, my mom always called me Inam Ngijebe. And I didn't learn, which I didn't know before. I'll tell it a different way. I put it this way because it's people that haven't heard my story. But, growing up, my mom always called me Inam Ngijebe. Inam Ngijebe. And I used to always laugh. I thought that mean, oh my gosh, this girl, something similar to that. And she used to always call me Shamna Shikia. And, which, I really didn't know what it meant. I just thought it was a term of endearment. And it sounded so close to being like a ghetto black name that I was like, I'll change my name to Shamna Shikia. When I get older, I joked about it. I would always laugh because I didn't see it as serious because I didn't know the literal translation of that. The literal translation of Inam Ngijebe is this bastard. The literal translation of Shamna Shikia is you bastard. And it took me, and how did I get these translations, these literal translations? Because I would ask people about it. I heard it on a movie once, and it says, and somebody told me, and the movie translated is bitch. A lot of times the movie translations, a Korean movie, the movie translations are not exactly what I would translate it into. But then again, what do I know? But anyhow, so, to double check myself, what I did was I went to Google Translate and I said, Inam Ngijebe. And this is the translation. So it understood me clearly in Korean. And this is the translation that came up. This bastard. I'm like, but I think Ngijebe does really mean, girl, but I think maybe the combination is what makes it that, or maybe the pronunciation is slightly different, which we're moving on to Shamna Shikia. So with Shamna Shikia, again, I put it on Google Translate, and this is a good way, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this too, a good way for you to make sure that your pronunciation and things are correct. Because I said, Shamna Shikia, the way that my mom would say it. And Google Translate translated into shop bastard. So what it heard me say instead of Shamna Shikia, it heard me say, like, and remember I told you that Korean app I was using? It heard me say shop. And it was like no real word, like the word shop. So it didn't get the Shamna Shikia, which is but it translated it into shop bastard. And I thought that was funny, but I was like, okay, all right, not cool. So then I looked up, because the movie has translated it's a bitch. I looked up bitch, and there's no direct word for that. But anyhow, and I remember when I asked my mom what Shamna Shikia was, first she told me there's no American word for it, English word for it. At first she said she didn't know. Then she said there's no English word for it. And then she told me it's a bad word, I guess, because eventually got to the point where she wanted me to know, And, but I didn't know that. Like I said, growing up, I thought, Ina Mengisha was this girl, and I didn't know what Shamnashiki was. I thought it was just a term of endearment. And I was called it so much, I really thought that was funny. And I used to think that was funny, but these days I don't think that's funny anymore. Because I remember growing up, being a bastard, especially like in the 70s, early 80s, was a big thing. A bastard. And I was like, what does a bastard mean? A bastard means a fatherless child or a motherless child without parents. And my mom used to always threaten to put us into, she would call it the farmer home. I don't know why she would call it a farmer home, because that doesn't sound like orphanage at all, but that's what she meant, the orphanage. And she used to say it with a smile and joke, And that's not funny, especially now when, like when I first got disowned, that's how I felt. The song kept playing in my mind. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. And that's how I felt. And so technically that made me a bastard, which I thought was the worst thing ever, because I would always ask my mom, about when they got married and all that. And they were married way before I was born. But yeah, I used to ask her about that. And I wanted to ask more when I got older. But maybe that's another reason I got disowned, because I ask a lot of questions. And some of them are difficult, right? But I do know this. That my dad was a good person. Probably too good, like I was. And my mom was a good person. Probably too good in different ways, like I was. My daddy loved music, with a passion, a little bit of sports. My mom loved drawing and the arts, And this is the next ironic thing, and I'll come across this whisper a little bit later on, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And I'm going to tell you, so like one more thing, and this is too long, that's why I didn't want to talk about all this, but I'm on TikTok a lot, and I subscribe with some Korean people just so that I can feel it. And actually I tried to watch some Korean movies last night. There was a movie called Whistleblower. I started to watch it, but I was triggered because some of the things that were said in Korean were in the tone that my mom was saying, very harsh, and it would hurt my feelings, so I couldn't watch it no more. Crazy, right? And to think, growing up, I never had my feelings hurt. I love my mom so much. I did. I still love her because, like I said, she went through a lot. Can you imagine being in a whole different country, not really just speaking the language, having children that look nothing like you, but have a lot of racism and prejudice, and then you getting racism and prejudice, handling all of that by yourself? And then having to go to doctor's appointments and doctor's visits. And I used to think it was cute that when we were little, because there's a lot of experience of kids with parents from different cultures. We translate for our parents when we're little, So, you guys, I miss me, I miss Korean American Maria, and now it's like, I feel like in a way, as far as roots, I don't have any roots anymore, And then when I think about, being Black American, and I would never just say Black American by itself because I respect my mom so much, but being, Afro-Korean American Maria, I don't have any exposure to the Black culture outside of what's on TV and what media teaches us being Black supposed to be, and the type of Black people that you're around, which, the legal system introduced me to a bunch of like crackhead type people. Hey, such and such and such, and I don't like that. But now that's part of who I am. And because after my mom disowned me, like I said, I thought I was gonna, go back at least to the city and be around my mom so I could get back the learning and upbringing that I had. But no, so now it's like, I'm part of that ghetto culture, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't. And will I come out of this? I don't know. I don't know. We are what we are around, or the last thing that made impressions on you. They say your cells and who you are really changed, literally over 7 years. But anyhow, back to, I was on this young Korean boy's live, and he speaks sometimes in Korean, some mostly in English, but he shows you around Korea and different things like that, and his Korean friends come by, and, I just enjoy that. And he mentioned how there was a Black person that came one time, and that Black person that came was asking him a question. I guess he said he didn't see it, but then the person he said, and he said it real snarkily, like, oh, they got on Google Translate and they pasted in here that I was racist and that I don't answer black people questions and whatever like that, you know. And I was just like, why so much hate, you know? Obviously, you know, regardless of if he used Google Translate or not, which again, I didn't like that because of gaslighting, because sometimes I use it, just like I used it just now to make sure my pronunciation was correct. You know what I'm saying? Don't gaslight somebody on that. And maybe he was saying it because he thought that person was there. Maybe he said it because he knew that I was there and I was Black, Korean American, you know? So, you know, I should have said something, but it's just like that little clip where they said the nigga was stunned. I was stunned because I was just like, you know, why would you berate that person? Because obviously you weren't answering him when he was doing it in English, but when he did it in Korean, you answered. You answered him. So obviously whatever he felt was correct, and don't be mad at him because he felt it was racist. Maybe it wasn't racist. Maybe you overlooked it subconsciously, you know, but he did get a response from you definitely when he put it in Korean. And not only did he get a response from you, but he made you speak on that response, you know. And I think Black people, especially, and you know, and I hope I don't ever get to the point where I stop acknowledging myself as a Korean American person. But I think people of Afro American descent, quote unquote Black people, you know, mixed or not, people that are like that are on the lower levels of culture and society, that really want to learn and grow, I think they get gaslit a lot, you know, and things said like that will discourage a person from continuing to use those learning tools. And I didn't say anything. And when I get a chance, if I see that person come on live again, I would take down their @ and I'm actually going to @ them and say, you know, speak on that, because I have to let my soul be free of that, because I would be disgracing and dishonoring the Black side of me if I didn't. You know, that was an awful experience, but he didn't know better. That's all. He didn't know better. Didn't know better. And I'll also observe to see if that's really what happens. It's not a whole lot of Black people in there, you know, but sometimes, you know, being a person in a live stream, if you have a lot of conversation going on, you might miss something. And there is a lot, because a lot of people want to be free and escape and go to another country, which is what you're doing when you're visiting somebody else's live stream that's doing it, especially a young person, because they're vibrant, you know. But anyhow, moving along. Then I said, well, I can't just talk about my those experiences. Let's talk about my adult American experience. And I misspelled American. I just realized that, but because I'm American too. And I have been called loser. And I haven't always been called these things, but these are the most recent or the most memorable. You know, loser, miserable, weirdo, hideous. Oh, and I left out crazy. I've been called crazy, that too. You know, and I understand, you know, these are not really valid statements, but I understand where they all come from, you know. And then this is me just tracking my task list and what I'm doing. And this was very poignant that I came across. It says, so the folks who try to prevent a Black girl from going to school in 1957 are opposed to their grandchildren learning about how they tried to prevent a Black girl from going to school in 1957. And I will go through this comment on this one. This one says, ironically, trying too hard, misspelled. And so I did put a response, but I guess the response was deleted, but I'm about to respond again, you know, because I think I still have that response saved in here. I should, I guess I don't, but, and my response was, I don't know if I can go through, it doesn't have that. My response was, let's see, what was it? And that's what he did. He put it back because he saw I put another one on there. And so I'll keep putting them on there is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put, you should try harder. You should try harder. Harder. The word you were looking for. The word you were looking for. You should try harder. Let's keep it shorter because that's too much. You should try harder to is the word you were looking for. The word you were looking for. The word you were looking for. And what he did when he saw that I reposted another one because it disappeared, he somehow, I guess, got it back. More opportunities. it probably got flagged for bullying, but it's not bullying, And what was so ironic about that was that this was a post about how black people were being held back from going to school. And this obviously is a not black person, probably a white person, that, said, I'm trying too hard. I'm really not, But we can post this quite a few times and be okay with it. So there we go. Anyhow, and there are no, like, if you do an auto, like, search for a picture, unless, oh, here it is. So it is there. It's so weird. And that's almost the exact same thing I had before. So it was there. I don't know why I didn't see it. All right. So we'll put it there twice. So, yeah. So where was I? I got to my adult American experience. And then I went through that. And then I went to, because I made all those posts about the self-esteem, or, not even necessarily self-esteem, but my experiences of, how folks in different cultures responded to me. I started getting pity things, like, maybe you are hideous, maybe and actually, let's look at that. So let's look at it. So a response that I got was, maybe you are those things. There's no other context to the story. And it kind of bothered me because I'm like, I didn't ask for any, and I didn't ask any questions. I said, not everything needs a context. There were no questions. It's just an experience that you may or may not relate to, and this is the first one. No, there were no questions asked. I hate it when people do that, because when people say things like that, it makes an assumption that, drives with the whole tone of the post. It was just me sharing my experience. But he says, though, I said, those words are not mine and are based on perceptions which reveal the truth about the originators, not the subject. They do not belong to me and would never originate from me about myself or anyone else. Your perceptions of the world reveal you. And that's it. But yeah, so I didn't like that. And then I hated, this is what I call a pity post too. You are cute. Man, that's not what I wasn't digging for any of that. I said, according to you, you are cute. But according to me, I am determined, authentic, focused, and pragmatic. And that is so true. That is who I am, But, and then that elicited this post from me, because this is what I really wanted to happen. I wanted people to be able to share if they were able to relate or not. So here I said, what are the last 5 perceptions that someone has stated about you in the order that they come to mind, good or bad, what that you know about. Keep in mind, people have perceptions. We or they are allowed to do that. Just share your experience. And I got some that were shared, and I think it's the same note. You understand that somebody else's perception, you don't take it too seriously, but then you dig into yourself and you determine what it is that your perceptions are. A lot of times that I saw and they sent me direct messages, but a lot of things that I saw where people had the same perceptions of themselves that others have of them. So the question is, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you feel the way that you feel about yourself because what others say that you are, or do you feel this way about yourself when others are putting it back? So that's the question, you guys. Are the perceptions that people have of you based on what you feel about yourself and project, or is it based on what they project onto you? Anyways, going back to the next post that I placed, missing my mom. And what made me think about this too, there's a song called Winner Takes It All. And I've heard different versions of it in the past. I can't put my finger on the one I like best, but most recently there's a group called November, and there's a young woman that sings it like on TikTok, and it's so beautiful. But it looks like it was done by Meryl Streep and by ABBA. I didn't really like ABBA's version too much. I liked the way that a woman was singing it, and Meryl Streep's was okay, but I was, wanting more of like a Bette Midler type, But anyways, Winner Takes It All. The words are so poignant and deep, and they do remind me of my mom a lot, and it made me cry. But let's look up the words, the lyrics to Winner Takes It All. Let's look up the lyrics, right? And I always have a free sheet because there's always some type of advertisement. There you go. Okay. So let's look up Winter Takes It All. Okay, y'all. And y'all gonna hear some bad singing. Oh, I don't even remember how it goes anymore. I don't want to talk. So it's, I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. Though it's hurting me, now it's history. And this is like my mom, me feeling my mom. I'm sure the song isn't supposed to be about your mom, but it's about my mom for me, okay? I don't want to talk. Or in the way that I think she may feel too. She doesn't want any more hurt and pain. She doesn't want to be reminded. She doesn't want to know everything that I went through. Because perhaps she went through crazy things too before she had us, and we reliving that too. So who wants to go through that? And like she told me, she's retired and she's old, But anyway, she says, I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. Though it's hurting me, now it's history. I can imagine like me singing this if I could sing. I wish I could. My heart is broken. I wish I could, because I need a way to express myself. And so ironic, I still have a piano and a guitar around, a keyboard. Sorry, not a piano. Well, I guess it's an electrical piano, whatever. But a keyboard, I'll call it. It is a keyboard. A keyboard and a guitar around here somewhere. I don't even know where they are anymore. I think they're back in the motivation room. But I don't want to talk. I can imagine, this is what I'm imagining in my head, like a dimly lit concert hall, me standing in a beautiful gown. My mom's standing in a beautiful gown. And I could be fat and ugly in this gown. It's okay. Mine is kind of white. My mom is kind of whitish silver. And, the light comes up on the stage, right? And we're back to back. Kind of like Whitney Houston and Brandy. We're back to back. Except Afro-Asian American version. And the light comes up and I start out. And it's because my heart's breaking. The light comes up on me and it's like, I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. Though it's hurting me, because I'm trying to get over my pain. Though it's hurting me, now it's history. I've played all my cards, and that's what you've done too. My mom does everything she could do. There's nothing more to say. No more ace to play. And that particular line gets to me. No more ace to play, because it's meaning I don't see that there's a different outcome. I don't have any more cards to play. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I went through different versions of feeling this Brett, like over the past few days a week. And one of the versions was that all the cards are played. Like there's nothing else that I need a reset. I need a reset button. If there's true about reincarnation and new lives, and I'm scared to talk about this, I don't want this version of it. But it's been rumored there's been soul transfers and things like that, but I don't want that. But if there's reincarnation, I cease to exist and I come back to something else, that's fine. But I'm not gonna cease to exist unless God pulls me out. And for some reason I feel like God wants me here for the long run. Good or bad, I'm gonna be here, and I'm definitely, that's not in my spirit to be that way, so I'm definitely not pulling it out. But anyhow, nothing more to say, no more ace to play. And there's a bird like right outside my window, I can hear it goes on. The winner takes it all, the loser's standing small. But in this situation, neither my mom nor I win, so we're both gonna end up singing this song, but me starting off because it's my feelings that elicited it. The winner takes it all, the loser standing small, beside the victory. So the victory's right there, but it's not mine. That's my destiny, to always see other people win. I was in your arms, meaning, and this was so poignant to me too, because a whole bunch of years back, when I was missing my mom so much, I would find pictures of her like on my sister's page or my brother's page, and I would edit them, edit myself into those pictures. I really did. It looked kind of crazy, but I did. I missed her so much. Like she was standing against the rail by the beach and I edited myself in her arms like she was holding me, and I miss my mom so much, you guys. But yeah, so, I was in your arms thinking I belonged there. I thought that I belonged there as her child. I thought that she loved me, but maybe she hated me this whole time. That's what made me cry so much, because when I looked at the true translations of the things that she was saying to me, she was calling me a bastard. Why would you call your child that, Or maybe she was disappointed because she, there's so many things to unpack. Maybe she's disappointed because she came to this country with this man, got married, and thought they would have all this and that. And basically, we ended up being bastards because my parents divorced. Saw him once after divorce and him trying to chase me down in a hospital gown and a kidney thing and I didn't know who he was. I was running from him. But he was like, it's your father, tell your mama I love her, and he died shortly after that, well, not shortly, but a few years after that. you know, maybe 5 years after that. You guys, life is hard, you know. And I know, like I know, but life is, life is tough, I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know that my mom went through. I used to have dreams about folks chasing my mom around, like white men chasing my mom around, like the BX when we lived on base. I think that was part of it. My mom couldn't, you know, when my dad was at work, just things, I will never know the whole story. Some of it has faded from memory, you know. But yeah, so I was in your arms, and if I could find that Google picture, I'm sure I didn't delete it. It's Google saves everything. It's in the up there somewhere. I was in your arms, thinking I belonged there. I figured it made sense, building me a fence. And this is when I tried to come back after everything died down. I thought it made sense. My mom told me, "Don't call when I come, just go." That's what I did, building me a fence. So I was trying to rebuild family. Building me a home, thinking I'd be strong there, thinking I would regain all that strength that I lost through the legal thing. But I was a fool playing by the rules. I did everything she told me. She told me not to call. She told me not to call, just to come. The gods may throw a dice. Their minds as cold as ice. So that's how, the gods, or whatever you want to call it, wanted it to be. They rolled the dice and they said, okay, this is what it's going to be. And someone way down here loses someone dear. So, I lost my mom. And I remember that was the most painful thing ever, to lose somebody. Never had nobody in my whole life. That whole legal thing. The only person that introduced themselves, I think, was planted by the FBI. And there was nothing going on. Nothing. And then people that were outside, that were legitimate people, they saw all the weird things. Like, we would go walking or exercising, cars following. It was just crazy, So I was just like, I'm just going to wait till it's over, But anyhow, so yeah. So the gods may throw a dice. Their minds as cold as ice. And someone way down here loses someone dear. And the winner takes it all. And then you could hear, in back to the stage play that I'm putting on in my mind. So I'm saying the winner takes it all. And then you can hear my mom in the background. Taste it all. The loser has to fall. Has to fall. You can hear a little Korean American tone. It's simple and it's plain. It's so plain. Why should I complain? Why should I complain? And so that's what it is. We have an understanding, and this is where it kind of gets weird. So we have to figure out how to put this into mom and daughter context. But tell me, does she kiss like I used to kiss you? So this doesn't really apply, but does it feel the same when she calls your name? And so in a way, I kind of been replaced by my sister, I guess. Does my sister love her like I love her? Somewhere deep inside, you must know I miss you. But what can I say? Rules must be obeyed. And that's exactly how I feel. My mom disowned me. She doesn't want to see me. She doesn't want to hear from me. I have to honor and respect that, I'm not an asset to her life. I'm a liability. And Lord knows, she doesn't need any more liabilities or hurt or pain that she already has. She doesn't want to hear about me. She doesn't want to know I exist, And I don't know what part my sister and them had in it, because that's why I was on the internet so much, because I thought, if they needed to find me, they would. And obviously my sister can, because I was looking her up. She found people that died. I'm saying, giving condolences. Oh, I'm so sorry that he passed. And then she would wish me dead. Oh, you not dead yet? I'm like, what in the world? And people really wish that on me. I mean, I've never thought about dying. Never. I remember being off YouTube for a while. And I came back and some random person popped up in my chat and was just like, oh, I thought you were gone. And I'm like, what do you mean you thought I was gone? And when I post on YouTube and things like that, and people have seen it like in live streams, folks to come on, if the name looks familiar, I greet them like a friend, because I don't have it. I don't have any. But, lo and behold, people don't necessarily have your best intentions. But, yeah. And I think this one person that was in the last live, I think that he was probably an ex-coworker that actually found me online. Like I said, he talked about shower videos and stuff like that, but found me online before we actually worked together. Because then when I got to work, he was really weird. It was a fat white guy, short, fat white guy who really looked disabled to me. But he was so creepy to me, and I used to not be so fat, and I used to wear things like where, my breasts were always perky, but now they're not. But, sometimes cleavage would show. It's not intentionally. It's just being young or having a nice body and enjoying it for yourself. And then he would hint that he would have seen me online somewhere, because he would be like, oh, you shouldn't post things online, because they could prevent you from keeping a job. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I guess he was making comments on the side to other people, because other people would want to make sure that I knew what he was saying, because they were just like, well, it's nobody's business, what she does in her personal life, which I did nothing but post to YouTube and other places as needed, because, and then he started trying to tell me, befriend me. And I was like, okay. He started, and I didn't catch it as weird, because my dumb, naive self, I didn't catch it as really weird at first. But then he was talking about how, his wife is black, his wife is Jamaican. And it just was really weird to me. Like, he fetishized black women. And whatever he was probably, I don't want to be vulgar about it, he was probably pleasing himself, over dumb shit. I'm so mad, but I think that's who that person is. But it's just so weird, and it's so sad. I still have a lot of innocence in me, where I still, when I feel like in my personal space, I want to welcome people with open arms. Talking about friendships and things like that, and I came across a realization this year too, that I give and I want to give, and the reason why I didn't realize it at first, because I talked about how I gave, like, there would be homeless men standing outside of, like, Dollar General or somewhere, and I would give freely. And then I thought to myself, why am I not giving to women, but I don't see any women. And then in that situation where I gave to that homeless man, I walked up the street, I saw a woman that could have been homeless. I didn't know, because she was talking to a store owner, but by then I had already given what I had to give, and I had nothing left, But then I saw a guy that was in Popeyes, and then it could be misinterpreted. So just, but what made me get an understanding, I skipped that story, but what made me get an understanding was when I was walking down the street and there was a girl walking behind me, and I was just like, hey, because it's so hot, burning hot, nobody in their right mind, presumably, would be walking in this heat, sweating bullets, and I was just so happy to see another person. It was another girl. And I was just like, hey, it's so hot out here, blah, blah, blah. She was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I had an extra washcloth, because I had purchased, I stopped by Family Dollar and purchased 2 of them, because usually I try to carry a clean one with me when I'm out and about. So, because you sweat, literally so much, it's ridiculous, like your face is pouring down. You can't even see you're sweating so much. So I was just like, do you need a washcloth or something? I said it's completely clean. I just bought it, for the sweat and whatever. And then I thought to myself, and I thought back, I didn't tell you about the guy at Popeyes, about how, she may not really need it. And would I be offended if she took it and she didn't need it? And it was just garbage to her, So I said, but don't take it if you don't need it, And she was like, well, to wipe the sweat and whatever. So I gave it to her. And then as, and I noticed that the whole time that we were walking in the same direction, the whole time, literally, I was talking, just like when that guy came into my life, it's like I thought I had subconsciously, I don't think it was a conscious thought, like I was talking the whole time, like that was friend or family, and then reality came that, hey, she was stopping at this gas station. She probably had supposed to be meeting somebody there or something, and I went on my way. And I remember feeling like somebody had took a plug out of a piece of my heart from that. And when I think about it, I had to ask myself, why, what was that feeling from? Where did it came from? Why was I disappointed? I had something to give. I gave it. It was something that I could afford to give. It was a washcloth, because I got 2 for $1. This is 50 cents. And she did need it. And she stated specifically that she needed it. And if she did decide to throw it away after she had its use of it, what would be the problem? It was 50 cents and she used it, at least worth 50 cents of use. What's the problem? I had it to spare. Why do I feel this way? And when I thought about it, I felt that way because I think I wanted to connect with someone that had a homeless experience or may have had a homeless experience, and we'd be able to share experiences. But it wasn't. She was going to the gas station. She entertained the conversation while we were there. And I had something to provide. I provided it. So that made me realize that I'm looking for people that I can confide in. I'm looking probably subconsciously for, candidates to be replacement family and friends, and that's not fair. So I need to make sure that in my giving, that there's an understanding that these are not going to be replacement family and friends, that, to not have that, to make sure that, I think it was subconscious. It wasn't a conscious thing, that I was feeling or thought about, but subconsciously, So to be aware that, that subconsciously, those are the thoughts that I may have, but no. And so that's why I think it's important too for me. And I don't know what's important anymore. I say important to get the business going, but there's so many people that have already done, so many people that I have more skills and talent that has done, but it's about me putting myself out there. But I'm learning things about myself. That's one thing I learned about myself over the past year, because I've changed from who I was. The other thing, I learned a few things about myself, just in this past year. But anyhow, moving forward. So it says, I don't want to talk if it makes you feel sad. And that's exactly the truth. The responsibility that my presence in itself disappointed my mom. It hurt her. It's a reminder that, all those years she spent and all the pain she went through, she almost died having me. And this is the pay that she gets from it. A child that nobody cares and nobody likes. This is the pay that she gets, and that she probably hears about, because, when applications and things, they always ask who your parents are, an embarrassment to her. And I remember when I was going through the legal thing, back when people were actually able to give me compliments, I had a compliment in forever, not a genuine one. But I used to, and they started coming rare and far in between. I used to cherish it so much, and I would be like, instead of me saying thank you by itself, it was thank you. I'd let my mom know, because I know that my mom needed to know that somehow her child was of value to someone. But I wasn't. I wasn't. At one time there was a chance, but nope. So I apologize if it makes you feel bad seeing me so tense. Her feeling bad because I was going through so much. No self-confidence. Yep. And when that time when my mom disowned me, when she disowned me, man, my allergies are coming back, so I'm about to be stuffy too and crying. How about that? Let's talk about how about that. Shout out to Danielle Bergoli. I don't know how I feel about all that, but she's doing good. I don't know. Can't hate on somebody that's doing good. And I don't think that she necessarily, as far as I know, people had bad things to say about her, but I don't think the way that she talked to her mom was cool, but people were mad at her for talking black talk and whatever, but whatever. But anyway, so I apologize if it makes you feel bad seeing me so tense, no self-confidence. And the no self-confidence part, getting back to that, I wanted to take my mom out to eat, didn't have a car, and it was freezing cold outside. And I guess my mom was just like, this ain't the life that I want to live. And some girl walked past, and she was kind of rude. She was like, walking past, she was like, oh, beautiful mom and daughter, and, just rude. And my mom was just like, oh, she caught the rudeness. And she was like, no, I'm not walking in the face of that type of rudeness. And it's because of her, meaning me, and you can see the self-confidence and the hurt, So anyways, I apologize if it makes you feel bad seeing me so tense, no self-confidence. But you see, the winner takes it all. So I guess a good thing there is a winner. It's neither you or I. The winner takes it all. So the winner takes it all, and the loser has to fall. Throw the dice. Cold as ice. Way down here, someone dear takes it all, has to fall. And it's plain. Why complain? So if you lose, you got to lose big too, basically. And then it'll cut over. It'll dim me out into the darkness. Then it'll come over to my mom. And in her Korean American sing song, I don't want to talk. And she's remembering and reminiscing all the way back to the 60s and the 70s, before she met my dad, when she met my dad, about the things we've gone through as a family. Though it's hurting me, now it's history. She has to let it go. Her being disowned by her family and parents. I've played all my cards. She's done all she can do. And that's what you've done too. And she's, and she realized I've done what I can do. It's probably not going to get better, so why keep me around? Nothing more to say. No more ace to play. No more advice to give, The winner takes it all. The loser standing small beside the victory. That's her destiny. I was in your arms. My mom used to love me, thinking I belonged there. I figured it made sense, building me a fence, building me a home, thinking I'd be strong there. But I was a fool, playing by the rule. The gods may throw the dice. She didn't choose this either. It's just by chance. Their minds as cold as ice. And someone way down here loses someone dear. The winner takes it all. And then you hear me in the background. Soulful takes it all. The loser has to fall, has to fall. It's simple and it's plain. It's so plain. Why should I complain? Why complain? But tell me that she kissed you like I used to. And this verse, because like I said, it's just this part doesn't really fit, but I can see the comparison. Like for my verse, when I sang it, it would be about my sister and just replacing me. For her verse, It would be about me looking for, success in this world. Was it worth it? And so I would change the words around to somehow portray those things. So we're going to skip that because it's weird. But somewhere deep inside, you must know I miss you. But what can I say? Rules must be obeyed. The judges will decide. The likes of me abide, me abide. Spectators of the show, always, okay, the judges will decide. Rules must be obeyed. The judges will decide. The likes of me abide. So we still exist, spectators of the show, and we stand on the sidelines, always staying low, or staying low. The game is on again, a lover or a friend. So I would change that word into a game is on again, lover or a friend, a big thing or a small, the winner takes it all. Then I don't want to talk if it makes you feel bad, and I understand you've come to shake my hand, I apologize. And then in the end, we'll sing this part together. I don't want to talk. We'll sing that back to back, and then we'll face each other, but it's still dark and you can't see any of us, either of us. It's just a silhouette, darkness with a little light silhouette. I apologize, and we're singing it very, very low, barely hearing. If it makes you feel bad, seeing me so tense, no self-confidence, but you see, then we'll face the front. The winner takes it all, the winner takes it all. So the winner takes it all, hands reach into the heavens, both of us, and the loser has to fall, then we both fall down to the ground in tears, throw the dice, and we fall to our sides, and then to our back, cold as ice, way down here, someone dear, and then we crumble up in a ball, sitting up, takes it all, has to fall, and it's plain, why complain? And we stand up with our hands, instead of reaching up, reaching down, fingers almost touching, but not touching, because we're living parallel lives, but separately. So it takes it all, has to fall, and it's plain, why complain? And that's the production I have in mind for me and my mom. But yeah, that song definitely, it reminds me of my mom. And then the second one, Holding Back the Tears by Simply Red. And this is when I just started going into tears. You can see the tears kind of on my face. And that's what that look is. That looks so crazy that you see that. Well, you can't see me pointing, but the second one, the first one, glasses, you can't see anything but glasses, and it's scary. But my face, is holding back pain. That's when you see that weird look. It's holding back pain. That mouth expression. It's holding back pain. And in the eyes, I see sadness, but, defiance to give into it. Pretty much. But let's look up the words for Holding Back the Tears by Simply Red. I didn't look up any of this stuff. This stuff is just popping up, I guess, because maybe none of the stuff you see that's showing up. Well, I'm not gonna say none. Some of it I did look up, but some of it is just suggestions or just suggestion based on whatever. But anyhow, let's look it up. So, Simply Red. As you can see, I was already here because I wanted to remember every single word. So it's holding back the years. Thinking of the fear I've had so long. When somebody hears, listen to the fear that's gone. Because after a while, and this is why this is the second song, after a while you get over it and you heal. Listen to the fear that's gone. Oh, I wonder if I have enough space on my phone, or am I just talking to myself now? Anyways, strangled by the wishes of Pater. I don't know what Pater is. What is Pater? Is that really what it says? Is that really what it says? What the hell is Pater? I don't know what that is. I'll keep holding on. It is Pater. I have no idea what Pater is. Let's find out if we can find out what Pater is. What is Pater? Paternity test came up. That has nothing to do with me, as you know. Pater gives her 50 pounds a year as a dress allowance. What is Pater? A person's legal father. Dang. Okay. This is weird. I didn't know what that meant. Okay. I need to go back to the lyrics. Damn. Oh, okay. All right. So, holding back the years, thinking of the fear I've had so long. When somebody hears, if you get a chance, you guys, can you please go listen to these songs? Because I want you to feel the vibe and energy that comes with it. I can't play it on here. But anyways, thinking of the fear I've had so long. When somebody hears, listen to the fears that's gone. Strangled by the wishes of Pater. So the wishes of Pater, hoping for the now. It's so weird because I didn't really know the words. As always, we just know the refrain. Strangled by the wishes of Pater, So the wishes of my father, he just wanted to have a family and love and be loved. Hoping for the arms of mother, I just wanted to be loved and be loved by my mom, by my family. Get to me the sooner or later, and it does get to me. Holding back the years, and I need to look up the backstory. What did he mean by the song? I know what it means to me for this particular purpose, but holding back the years, chance for me to escape from all I've known. Yep. So you got to forget about that. Holding back the tears, because nothing here has grown. Woo! How accurate is all this? I've wasted all my tears, wasted all those years, and nothing had the chance to be good. Nothing ever could. Oh, I keep holding on, holding on. So I'm going to keep on trying, holding on so tight. Well, I've wasted all my tears, wasted all of those years, and nothing had the chance to be good because nothing ever could. I'll keep holding on. Isn't that something? Those were the songs I were reminded of. And that's all that's important. But anyways, that's the end of the addendum to the dream. And why is it an addendum to the dream? It's an addendum to the dream because it relates to, me feeling outcast.